This is pretty low-key, very workmanlike, business-like to an extent.
Other than Bryson,
right,
in the top six,
Bryson's going to be the outlier anyway. He could be the compelling guy that nobody really wants to have on the team, but I wouldn't argue him against him in any world. But yeah, other than that, right? Like this is pretty chill.
Mm-hmm. Harris English, Russell Henley, Schauffele.
But there's no like excitement here. Like there's no Patrick Reed like character in this initial group where you're like, even if I hate the guy, it's undeniably that he's going to bring a little energy to this thing.
Something. What's up, everybody? How you living? No putts given. I'm monochromatic, and Tony is not. What's
bringing Sunday swagger to Mondays, which will be Wednesdays, maybe Thursdays. Full week.
All the things. I got a list of stuff for us to talk about this week, Tony. Not the least of which is, is there anybody in the world that doesn't like Tommy Fleetwood?
Tommy finally Fleetwood.
I mean, if it were a movie, would you script it differently?
Yes, I would have him winning something a little better than the FedEx Cup, but it's a good start. Like, it's not the Masters. It's not a U.S. Open.
No.
That's a good start.
But it is $10 million, and
it's entirely manufactured.
Of course it is. It's like a Hallmark holiday. Real. Yeah, the money's real. It's a Hallmark holiday. But, we'll talk about his what's in the bag a little bit because I know you're a big fan of it. Cantlay has a couple interesting things going on, not the least of which is I think he might still be on hole 17, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's well out of position already. Are hybrids dead? We'll get to that. I saw a couple things on the conforming list. There's been chatter. Some new Mizuno Irons hit the conforming list, so we may have to look those up. Talk about those a little bit. We've gotten a little bit of test feedback from the ball test. We talked about that in depth last week, but people raised some good questions, so certainly answer some of that. And then we got Ryder Cup picks. Let's go. It's Ryder Cup time. Keegan's already said some people are going to get left off by the time this airs on Wednesday. We may, already know what those answers are, but
there could be answers.
Let's start with Fleetwood, though. Why do you like his bag so much, Tony? You look at his bag, you go, I just love this thing.
This is maybe end-to-end my favorite winner's bag because he's got...
Yeah.
It's really... It's not just that there's like a niche thing. There's so much in this bag that you could, to various extents, consider to be niche products. Not like crazy tour only stuff. Like, this is stuff that exists out there for everyday golfers to go buy, but it's not stuff you see a lot of in play on tour, and that's fantastic.
What in particular jumps out to you? I mean,
let's go. We can go through it. So starting with the driver, it's a QI 35. It's it is a dot of some sort. So, indicative of some little not for retail tweak.
Yeah, typically in the QI 10, the dot was right. It was kind of that tweener, where you wanted some of those low spin elements, but you didn't necessarily want that low spin head. So, kind of a lower spinning version, right, of the of kind of the stock model. You'll see, a lot of the pictures on it, you don't see any designation for LS or something, but it's kind of like an LS and a half, if you will.
Finally, TaylorMade's got to be like, finally a QI 35, finally.
It's not what anybody can buy, but finally.
Yeah. After I said most of them, I'm actually zooming in on the picture of the Ventus TR blue, the transition into the TaylorMade adapter. I'm kind of looking at it. I'm like, is that a little sloppy? I can't tell. Maybe.
Yeah.
Stuff happens. I'm not going to dwell on it. So, moving in down through the bag, he was a TaylorMade burner mini guy. Latest has him in a R7 quad. Again, I think best mini driver on the market right now. One guy's opinion, maybe two if you count Tommy Fleetwood, but he's a TaylorMade guy, so he's probably going to be skewed a little bit there. But yeah, I love this club. Hittable off the fairway, so good off the tee on a tight par 4. Or an unreachable par 5 where you just, let's hit a good shot and figure the rest out. But I love it. And I also love that it's the 13.5 degree model. As I see, a lot of the guys I know that have been interested in the mini driver have kind of gone after that lower lofted head as more of a one-to-one driver replacement. I actually like the additional loft here. I originally got the 13.5 thinking, well, that's going to be better to play off fairways. But it turns out, I just love what I get from it off the tee as well. So anyway, a little bit of a personal affinity for what this spot is.
Yeah, quick note there, same shaft, right? So some people, have asked, hey, like a traditional fairway, would you go up 10 grams? Typically we see that, etc. But he went kind of stock, right? TR Blue 6X in the driver,
6X.
TR Blue 6X in his mini driver. So
he goes to again QI 35 TaylorMade, first 3 all the new stuff. That's winning, I guess.
Let's go.
He goes to a QI 35 5 wood. And so if you kind of look at what's happening on tour this year and then the last couple, the 5 wood has kind of become the odd one out to an extent. It's kind of seen this mini driver thing take off as replacements for 3 woods, and you're seeing more guys go to either a 4 wood or a 7 wood. Not Tommy Fleetwood. Not Tommy Fleetwood.
Not Tommy.
5 wood guy. And then you keep going. First of all, now we're going to talk about a PGA Tour Pro, and we are now going to our 4th head cover, and we haven't even got to the putter yet. So I love that too. Tommy's got head covers. 9 wood.
Yes.
Never mind the 7 wood. My man has a 9 wood, 24 degrees. Somewhere Lou Stagner is smiling.
I guarantee he is.
And this is the QI 10. So all right, small hit there, but 9 wood, guys. 9 wood on a PGA Tour winner's bag. Finally, we can say that about Tommy Fleetwood. PGA Tour winner. FedEx Tour Championship.
And again on the shaft side, he's obviously he hits the ball so good, but in this distance dominated era where all these golfers are allegedly excuse me, obsoleting courses, he's playing an 80 TX shaft. Yeah, that's a robust shaft, but we're not
control. I would think. I think with a 9 wood, you probably put the 9 wood in for control more than distance. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. But it's not like he's, again, vented, TR Blue 6X in that. So he's, again, I love it because he's playing the golf course, obviously, but the way he goes about it, he's hitting fairways, hitting greens. He's not perfect at all. Had some yippy putting strokes here and there, and we'll get to his putter in a minute. But then, yeah, you talk about control. Boom. 5 through wedge. P7 T-dubs.
The P7 T-dubs, the Scheffler iron, if you will.
I know.
It's more of a Scheffler iron than a Tiger iron these days, as blasphemous as that sounds. I mean, Scotty's the guy for TaylorMade. Let's not beat around that particular bush.
Right.
So, yeah, this seems to be the one. Unless it's Rory winning, it's a T-dub iron, it feels like. So make of that what you will. Then we go to the wedges. And so he's got in the higher lofted. So he's running, what do we got here? He's running old school loft progression, which I guess you do when you're playing T-dubs blades. He's going 52, 56, 60, where, most average guys like us who pay attention to wedge gapping are into a 54, 50, 54, 58 sequence. In my case, with the even stronger lofted irons, I'm in 48, 54, 60. So I had to stretch out those gaps a little. But these are old school gaps, if you will, old school loft designations. And the one this is to me, I don't even know why this wedge exists. The high toe, I get why high toe exists, right? They talk about like versatility around the green, opening it up, using that extra mass in the high toe area to kind of do some fun and arguably strange things. But a high toe on a 52 on any gap wedge has never made sense to me, as that's not like, not a lot of guys like,
it doesn't
I really
have
want
to.
a versatile gap wedge that I can manipulate around the green. Like, it
doesn't have to, you know, like
it doesn't register for me as logical, but here you go. Like, hey, maybe I'm wrong because Tommy just won.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think he probably has a reason for that, but like I said, at the end of the day, it has to work for you, which I love. So if that's what works for him and that does what he needs it to, then I love it. I'm sure there's a reason, you know.
And we've got like this. We go to his putter. It's this TaylorMade Spider Tour. It's one of the orange ones. I don't know. Like, is that a stock alignment thing or is that something Tommy did?
It looks hand painted.
I mean, this is the pumpkin spice edition. Like, this is handmade for fall and Halloween and
perfect timing.
I don't know. Like, I don't care, right? Ugly putters can work. This to me is maybe the least appealing spider design I've ever seen. And yet here we go. So good for Tommy.
Well, yeah, I mean, between Tommy and, you know, Scheffler, Robert McIntyre, we can go through a list. If you looked at, you know, kind of equipment count and stuff, like watching the USAM a couple weeks ago, you know, when we started to get to the final 8, 4, etc., you saw a lot of TaylorMade Spider putters. Like, I know it's been the year of lab and the year of zero torque and the year of low torque and all those kind of things, but I would say, you know, Spider, it's the best putter that people aren't talking about right now, and I get why people aren't, but it's Scheffler. He's won, again, everything. He should be the player of the year. Even if he weren't, it'd be Rory. Another guy using Spider. Now we have Fleetwood. How many guys in the top 10 in the world, or when we go through Ryder Cup picks and stuff, like, you know, is it just flying under the radar because of zero torque and all that kind of stuff? Or is it like really just flying under the radar because people are like,
Well, we'd be having the same conversation if somebody won with a Cameron blade. That's kind of how the season has progressed. It's almost weird if you don't have a lab in the bag, but again, like, you know, Scotty's doing fine without a lab. Tommy Fleetwood wins without a lab. So it turns out you can win with other designs as well. So that's good to know, I guess.
Yeah.
Last thing I just want to mention in his bag too, because again, I just think it's cool to see this kind of thing. He is a TP5X picks guy. So, you know, for everybody who gets irate about designs on golf balls and going, who uses these things? Nobody, no serious golfer, whatever, blah, 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 all that bullshit.
Yeah, I'm looking at,
FedEx winner, TP5 picks, FedEx Cup.
Well, and he even made a note. This was kind of a cool thing. And you know, you see people like obviously going to line up the ball, and if you have that one, you know, kind of narrow line, and that's kind of what you do, I see people, you know, have to get it just perfect, or a little more there, a little here, whatever. You know, Tommy's kind of saying he likes the picks in part because the way the logo sits, it kind of gives you like a thicker, almost kind of channel.
I'm telling you, how many times have you heard me say, like, I think, I have no evidence to back this up, but I think it's in my mind that a wider stripe works better for alignment. And it's not a true stripe, not like Tour Response, for example, but you do get that kind of that channel effect between the Pix logos, right? They're spaced out to create that alignment. So, hey.
Yeah, it kind of makes me, I mean, it just makes me wonder if, like you said, that, you know, Tommy said it gives him a little bit more margin for error, where it feels like, hey, I don't have to have this lined up to the exact, you know, if it's 3 blades of grass inside the left edge, I don't have to have the line exactly on that. I have it where I believe it should be pointed there, and then it kind of frees him up to know, hey, I don't have to hit it maybe exactly 100% on that line. But you have other people who are like, hey, you know, aim small, miss small. So I don't know. Could be kind of an interesting study to do, I suppose. Let's talk about hybrids for a minute. We had our hybrid test come out, yeah?
Yeah.
Most wanted hybrids. Test of the hybrids for all the things. And
the test of clubs that I believe are being used in fewer numbers, declining numbers, if you will, but some people still play hybrids. I've kind of put one back in my bag some of the time for the first time in years. So some interest.
Yeah, I mean, just juxtaposing that with the Fleetwood situation, right? Where you say, hey, 7-wood, 9-wood, no 4-iron, goes right to the 5-iron, and then we go, okay, who are hybrids ultimately really for? I mean, we can link to the article. You can test them out. I mean, best overall, Cobra DS Adapt. I have a Cobra 7-wood in my bag this year because I love how adjustable it is. It's probably more like a 6-wood because I loft it down but open it up. TaylorMade QI35, Callaway Elite X. Again, we see kind of the big name brands showing up here toward the top. My bigger question is, what's the purpose of a hybrid now?
Yeah, it's one of those for me. You could make the case, right? I've talked about 2 in the trunk, and that's grown to 3 in the trunk, depending on how you want to look at it. But this is a spot where even if you're a 7-wood guy, for example, or in Tommy's case, we'll use Tommy as the working example, right? If you're a 9-wood guy, there are going to be days and conditions under which that is a really bad idea.
Sure.
Because the thing about high lofted fairway wood, 7-wood, I haven't hit a 9-wood other than just knocking one around at a range, but I can tell you they fly really high. Like that is part of the selling point is they fly high, they land soft, and that's awesome until you have a measurable amount of wind in your face. And then that part becomes less fun because it's really hard to, I don't want to say control it, but to kind of get the distance you need out of it because it wants to come back at you. And so you can say that the kind of the polar opposite of a strong lofted fairway wood is something like a utility iron. That's going to give you that lower flight with more forgiveness than you get from a long iron. And a hybrid fits right in the middle, right? You kind of, I mean, very simply, it's low, mid, high trajectory. And sometimes that mid trajectory can be what you want. I feel like for me, as a comparison, right, it's if you want something that kind of resembles an iron ball flight for whatever reason, you're not getting that from a high lofted fairway wood. I mean, it's almost more like a wedge flight, right? Just kind of up and down. Whereas a hybrid kind of gives you that tweener. And we know, like a lot of guys hate hybrids with the emergence of high lofted fairway woods. The tour has it's one of those things that's interesting where the market follows the tour, but in an unexpected place. For a long time, higher lofted fairway woods were like, oh, these are for hacks and chops. Like serious players don't use high lofted fairway woods.
Etc. People,
right. There's low swing speed players, and all of a sudden, like the tour started using 7 woods, and even as we see with Fleetwood's bag, 9 woods, and all of a sudden, guys like us are starting to pay attention. I would never have thought to take a 7-wood out on the course 5 years ago because I'm not the highest swing speed player in the world, but I'm not slow. I don't struggle to hit high shots with hybrids and things like that. So it wouldn't have been on my radar. And then you start to see, hey, look at what's happening on tour. And of course, the casualty of that to some extent has been the hybrid.
Yeah. Well, is there room in this town for, multiple sheriffs, right? Where it's like the better the driving irons and kind of these long iron replacement clubs become, to me, that's absolutely comes at the detriment of the hybrid, where, you take like Ping's IDI, right? And then, for a long time, again, I put Mizuno's, MP Pro, the fly highs, up against that Strixon. The utilities like the Zubs or the ZXI now currently, as those have become more forgiving, higher launching, they kind of approximate a lot of what a hybrid can do, and now they're available in more lofts. It's not just like a 2-iron driving iron, but you can get them in, say, 2, 3, 4 irons. It's like, okay, if I'm looking for something that isn't the higher lofted, fairway wood, and I don't want that high launch, is a hybrid enough of the difference when I want something that's lower launching and more like an iron when, hey, there's all these fantastic driving irons that are like way more forgiving now than they used to. Those aren't exclusively for better players anymore either.
There is a confidence factor. And some guys are going to look at a utility iron and think driving iron.
No matter what. Yeah.
They're going to struggle. Like I'm to this day way, way, way more comfortable with a hybrid in my hand than I am with a utility iron. And I would, probably tell you that all things being equal, standing over the ball, I'm more confident looking at a hybrid. Now, that's not to say that quantifiably I get better results. I think pound for pound I get more out of the 7 wood. I think that's, in most cases, that's the better play. And I think maybe that's part of the story here is these hybrids still exist. They're still every bit as good as they've ever been. For my money, right? I've told you, like, GT3, for example, is the hybrid that's made me love hybrids again.
Yeah.
For sure. I love hitting that club. I have an extreme degree of confidence with that club. But still doesn't get around the fact that the 7 wood is more forgiving.
Right.
Flying into greens, the 7 wood is invariably going to land softer. The 7 wood is, for me, and I haven't done much with the weight configuration in the GT3, but it has a little bit more of that hook avoidance. Not to say I can't hook a 7 wood with the best of them. I absolutely can.
Right. When are you going to use the hybrid? When would you use the hybrid instead of the 7 wood? So, like, for you mentioned like GT3, you love that. It's more iron-like. It's, so when do you use that club and not the 7 wood?
Well, it's been in my bag pretty much for the last month, but that's almost just because, hey, I just got this. I want to mess around with it. And I've got another shaft I need to put into it to mess around with some more. But again, like, we don't get necessarily, Pebble Beach / Bandon Dunes / St. Andrews type wind here. Right. But we do get windy days, and on those days the 7 wood is difficult. And it kind of like, am I downwind and is this going to carry too far? Or am I into the wind? Is it going to get up in the air and go nowhere? And I do find the hybrid cuts through the wind a little bit better. And again, for a lot of guys, that choice is going to be 7 wood or utility. Skip kind of that one in the middle and commit to one end or the other. But again, I have a utility iron. I just find that I am more comfortable and more confident with the hybrid. So there's still hybrid guys out there, and a lot of, again, not to pigeonhole, because that's how everybody got into trouble with the high lofted fairway woods. But, it is still, the hybrids remain a popular choice with seniors and slower swing speed golfers who need help getting the ball in the air, more help than they get from long irons, more help than they get with utility irons. And maybe for whatever reason, just as some guys don't feel comfortable with a hybrid, some guys aren't comfortable with higher lofted fairway woods. So, the point I would make and why I look at Tommy Fleetwood in that 9 wood and think that it's amazing that it's in his bag. If you have ever looked at a 9 wood, if you've ever looked down at a 9 wood, like, the loft is like looking right back at you. The loft is giving you the stink eye. Like, it's for me, it's an uncomfortable feeling to just kind of have that much loft in a metal wood design staring back at me.
Yeah, it makes me wonder too if he did anything to it to either see less of the loft, because a lot of times when players see loft at a dress, it also looks closed, which, again, if we want to, just to overgeneralize, that's what a lot of players don't want to see. Better players in a higher lofted fairway wood or hybrid is something that shows loft and then looks closed. I wonder if he did anything to kind of help alleviate that, but then again,
we know, like, TaylorMade has told us, and I've, again, not used it extensively enough to have any strong opinion either way, but they do have kind of that top line marking, right, that is supposed to help with how the club appears at a dress, kind of give you that more comfortable eye line, if you will. Yeah, maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't. It's just
I tend to be the either or guy a little bit. Like I said, I love having a 7 wood in there. That's, again, kind of the daily player, if you will, because I go from 3 wood to 7 wood, and then a 4 utility iron. And I like having that in that 4 iron spot. Invariably, what that leaves out is a hybrid. Doesn't mean hybrid won't be in there at some point or that option, but for right now, that's that's kind of what makes the most sense for me.
And too, like, part of my issue in the past, or maybe to an extent why I slowly moved away from hybrids is kind of reached this era, if you I don't know a better way to describe it, but there's like this period of time where everybody just kind of decided, you know what, let's make all our hybrids bigger.
Right.
So everybody's hybrid got larger, more fairway wood like.
Well, you had the utility
and you
wood
kind of
from
reach the
Callaway,
point, like if
right?
I've got to
Like,
look at a big club anyway, why don't I just go for the one that's going to give me a little more forgiveness, a little more height, all of that. And now you've seen,
right.
to an extent, it's not universal. Like you still have some of that. Like Cobra has the King Tech, which is by design a larger hybrid. Callaway's done that stuff in the past and may do it again in the very near future. Just saying. The Elite stuff, for example, to me, feels a little bit larger, as most of the stuff is larger. And I come, as a guy who loved the Atom stuff.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That was the stuff that made me excited back in the day, if you will. So that's to me what a hybrid should look like. And that's why I've gravitated to the GT3, which is a smaller hybrid, not overcooked like they did. Was it TSI3 or was it TSR?
TSR3 for me is the one. Well,
I'm trying to remember.
I felt like it was TSI3 that they overcooked a little bit.
Yeah, it just got too small, and now
it was a little
we're
more
kind of back into that like really comfortable. For me, it's again strictly opinion, but pound for pound, I'm still going to tell you that like Adams made some great stuff back in the day, but the Titleist 585H,
that maybe and you still see a lot of better players with those out there, and they love them. So I don't. There are people out there. Tell me why do you play hybrids? Where does that fit in for you? I think it's always interesting to kind of gauge what the market, says or kind of thinks or feels around some of these products. But off one conundrum to another, we're already seeing pictures of new Mizuno irons. We're already seeing, we got the conforming list stuff. There's other forums and places that have in-hand pictures because there's Japanese release and then there's the U.S. release, and we are hopeful and we have reasonable assurance that this is hopefully the last time that this happens, where you get a product that's going to be released overseas. Like I said, it's already in stores. People can hit it, look at it, pre-order it on other sites. I'm talking about the M15, M13. Also saw a new Fly High floating around out there. The design architecture looks to be kind of paired with S1 and S3. Not paired in the sense like you're going to build a combo set out of them. They're, again, different constructions, right? Because S3 is like the S series, right? That's heritage, history, single piece forged, kind of what Mizuno has been for a lot of players for a long, long time. Whereas this idea of kind of the MP series or, M13, M15, whatever now is where you're going to see whatever available technology they have, multiple forging techniques, materials, different things. You're going to see that more in that kind of mainline release that comes out. But what do you make of the staggered release schedule? Is this something we're hopefully done with?
Oh my God, what a cluster! Like you just can't. It's unmanageable, I would think, for the guys in the U.S. where you like have this product launched in Japan on the USGA list, and you're like, yeah, we can't really say anything about that for a couple months, and like, but it's right there. Yeah, cool. I see it. It's right there. No comment, kind of thing. Like, it's just weird. So hopefully, and this is kind of like the Mizuno. Like, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Ongoing problem, not a problem. Problem again. But hey, it is what it is. I'm just looking at it. I'm like, yeah, you can definitely see that channel back design from the S1 kind of creep into the 13, which is that, kind of from the looks of it, right? That tech cavity back design. Yeah, the two. Right, some type of mixed material voodoo type construction in there, but still looks relatively traditional. And then the 15 M15 looking speculation, right? Is that the player's distance hollow body type thing?
If we're gonna speculate,
looks really good, really clean. Just a little bit of flair in the M15 badge, channel back design, running bird logo. Like it's very rare that you you look at a Mizuno iron and you go, yeah, that's not good. Don't like what you did there. Even, hot metal, for example, they've taken great strides to make game improvement palatable. And, others are doing that now, whereas that used to be like, oh, yeah, we're just going to put cheap plastic badges and wonky colors on it. And,
orange.
Might as well be in a box set, JPXEZ.
Yeah.
Don't do that stuff anymore, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll tell more as soon as we can, but
it's also a Mizuno Shure DD chipper on the USGA list. I don't know how long it's been there. It could be
a
years.
DD chipper, not a DS chipper, not a donkey shovel
not the
chipper.
DS. So anyway, that's there. Maybe,
yeah.
hopefully not, but maybe.
Yeah, my first reaction when I saw it is, like, I played Mizuno Irons for a long, long time. I love Mizuno Irons, always have. I don't see these changing that necessarily. The 243s I played for a while. The thing I loved about the 243s was they actually, for the club category, maintained quite a bit of distance. They were actually a little longer than I had expected them to be. If we're going to guesstimate here, let's say that M13 is a replacement for 243 and M15 is a replacement for 245, which again would kind of make sense. It'd be interesting to see what tweaks they make. The one thing that I noticed right away, there's pictures out there and stuff, whatever. So to hear more from Mizuno around sole design, where for players that's been a work in progress. You saw some of the tri-cut sole stuff on some recent Mizuno irons, some of the pre-worn kind of leading edge. It does a lot of things. One, can allow you to make a little bit wider sole and have it play effectively thinner, but also turf interaction. We've talked about this a million times over. That may be part of the story with why Srixon has become so popular with a lot of players, why people talk about this feel is anything that gets you to hit the ball in the center of the face more often is probably going to help a club feel better. So you get the right grind on a wedge and it makes a world of difference. Well, why wouldn't having the right...
So much beyond material, right, that contributes to feel, whether it's, again, little things like you would never imagine. Well, hey, can we tweak the shape of the sole to get impact where we need it to be? What's the geometry? What are the internal structures? If it's, anything more than a single piece forging, it's just so much that goes into it.
Yeah. So we'll tell more when we can, but enough there, I think, certainly to be excited about once we get more in that. Ball test, feedback, ball test. People, it's one of my favorite things when we just kind of launch these things out there. There's always feedback, positive, negative, here, there, etc. All these things.
A lot of assumptions, right? People, again, you don't know until you get into it. You don't know what it takes. You certainly don't. I would say the first ball test we did, I understood maybe half as much as I thought I did about robot testing and the realities that come with it. So, like some of the stuff you just want to roll your eyes at, but you also understand, hey, we've done this four times now.
So let's answer some of those questions. It just came up like I had one for this. Well, previous tests, it was 100 miles an hour for the mid-swing speed. Why'd you go 100 miles an hour? That's much faster than the typical average golfer. They see that mid-swing speed and they go, that's too high. Why is 100 miles an hour not too high?
First of all, it's not high, mid, low in terms of like the market of golfers. Like it would be accurate to say 100 is a bit above average, so that would not be the true middle. But it's the middle for our test.
Yeah,
and you want to space them out a little bit. You want to have nice even increments, and the reality is, at 85 we still find pretty significant differences off drivers and at equivalent iron speeds. I think once you dip at 80, I don't want to say all balls are the same because again, I'm never going to say that.
No,
but things like speed almost become neutralized. You're at that point now where the higher compression balls are still going to be on average faster, but those ball speed differences become small enough where launch and spin effectively drive the distance equation almost entirely.
Yeah.
Almost entirely. So that's kind of like, again, we kind of, that's part of the reason. The other part is these are plus or minus 5 miles an hour in every given place. This is kind of industry standard test ranges, if you will, 85, 100, and 115.
Yep.
You could almost make the case that you maybe should go
do
up to
125 or something.
And so maybe, you could argue, well, let's do 80, 100, and 120, but you want to keep those gaps consistent. And again, the point is not to say, all right, we're gonna dial this in to hit like an average golfer. Like, we want our launch conditions to be within not just the realm of a reality, but within the range of guys at a particular swing speed. But ultimately, the objective is to compare golf balls. And so the absolute precision of the swing speed, where that falls, is actually less important when that's the goal.
Than the fact that it's just consistent for every golf ball. So we can, again, trying to make...
Yeah, and one of the things, like, and we've gotten a little bit of pushback on, and it's again, like, I'm kind of, hey, let's just go by the details, right? This is what happened. So if you look in our post, like the test parameters, I think we have the mid swing driver at 102.
Yeah.
And guys are like, well, why did you test at 102 this time and 100 last year? I'm like, well, like, it's, again, like, we're more focused on getting launch and spin where we want them. Club head speed on a radar-based launch monitor is, I don't want to say it's arbitrary, but the robot can apply the same force to two different heads, and you're going to get two different swing speed ratings based on the shape of the driver and things like that. So, for context, yeah, we probably could have written 100 and nobody would have thought twice about it and all the numbers would work. But yeah, by the absolute letter, our TrackMan average was about 102.
Right.
And it was, 98, 99 on Foresight.
Right. And it was 116 on the...
Yeah.
On
same
the
thing with, the drivers. Exactly.
Yeah.
It does. It's like, it's, anybody who's ever done any carpentry knows that if you go out and buy you buy tape measures from two different brands, even though, the world understands that an inch is a standardized unit of measure, they're not going to be exact. Almost never. So, like, it's kind of the thing with launch monitor.
You're always playing with tolerances, right?
It does. Always, you're playing with the limitations or the eccentricities of the tool itself. So,
let me give you this one.
100 ballpark, 115 ballpark, 85 ballpark.
Yes.
Don't overthink it, guys.
Nope. All right, let me give you this one. So, basically the feedback being, hey, that's awesome. Really appreciate the information. I love being able to see what you recommend and why and this and that. And so, but all I care about, once I have a ball or two that I really want to go test or that I really like, what I really care about is, if you tell me it's going to be, this spin, this launch, this trajectory, and I go out and I test it and I go, yeah, that's awesome. It does that for me. My other question is, how often is it going to do that? Kind of how accurate is my golf ball in terms of, is it going to do that over and over and over? And I know that we use some of that background knowledge in our recommended list because we trust certain manufacturers more than others based on historical data. But what do you say to a new consumer?
Data, from past years.
Saying, hey,
legitimately,
I want to see dispersion charts. I want to see an overlay of 1,000 golf balls and scatter plots and going, this one's more accurate than that one, or that type of stuff.
Yeah, that is like I struggle with that because I understand golfers want to see it, and I'm like, all right, how do we do this? And if you saw our Kirkland versus Walmart versus Pro V1 test, we did it, and I love being able to do that. But you can do that in a meaningful way. In a meaningful, reliable way when you're doing a small test. But we're testing, a small group of balls for us is 7 models, and I think we were up 7 to 10 or 11 depending on the group. And so what happens is you end up with and you're rotating constantly, right? You're not like, all right, I'm going to bang out all my Pro V1s, and I'm going to bang out all my Triple Diamonds, and now I'm going to bang out all my Q Star Tours. Right. You have to rotate. And the reason why you have to rotate is that you have changing environmental conditions. And so you don't want to have all of your balls for one model be hit at the beginning of the test window, if you will, and another being hit at the end because you have a dramatic change in weather. That's almost unavoidable. We're looking at like, hey, could we test at 4 a.m, right? And try and get more of that true, I don't want to say guarantee, but we're going to be less likely to encounter wind. We're going to have less shift in temperatures. So that's something we're looking at. But realistically, depending on which window we're in, we're getting 10 to 15 degrees of temperature change.
Right.
We shut it down if the wind starts picking up and gets sustainably in a bad place for us.
Right.
But even within that, you have shifts in the wind where, I don't know, for example, what the true directional nature of the wind is, like if it's coming out of the east or the west or the south or whatever.
Right.
But when we're at Scottsdale National, that wind is coming off the left.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Primarily off the left.
Yes.
But sometimes you get a little bit of a shift and it's coming off the left and at you. And sometimes it shifts the other way and it's coming off the left and away from you.
Right.
And that has enough influence on downrange dispersion over the course of a test where you could hit, 2 balls could be hit exactly the same and still land 10, 15 yards apart. And you're like, is that bad dispersion or did something change? And you're like, well, it's warmer. The wind isn't exactly where it was. Right? There's lots of things that go into that. So when you can test in a consolidated window, when you only have we're just going to test 3 balls,
right?
Then dispersion becomes a much more reliable metric. But when, as a case of our test window is unavoidably wide.
Right.
We cannot do what we need to do
balls
in a narrow window and still have a control ball, for example. Like you can't be like, all right, we're going to hit these 2 against the Pro V1 and then these 2 against the Pro V1, because we don't have a month to do this test. We're paying for robot time. We're paying for engineers. It's not a small expense. It's quite literally thousands of dollars a day.
Yeah.
When you get into these multiple locations to conduct this test.
That's just
we do what we can, and so there is some knowledge about the balls. There are clear instances of cuckoo balls, as we talked about last week. And you go, you look and go, hey, maybe that was a little bit of wind. It's certainly within the realm of possibility, and holy shit, something just went haywire. So. Yeah. I continue to look at ways. I try things. I'm like, that almost works, but that's still not representative of the reality. And sometimes you're like, yeah, that was bad. Can't do that. So, I continue
in the
to
short
look at
term.
it.
Yeah, in the short term, Ball Lab is probably the best and quantify manufacturing consistency and quality, because invariably that leads to performance differences, right? So it's kind of like
I've said how many times, right? The biggest indicator of golf ball quality, the thing you can most depend on to tell you whether or not you're likely to have not just a product that meets your performance needs, but meets your performance needs consistently, is the factory that made it.
Yeah.
Really is that simple. And, I'm going to tell you, I've told you before, Titleist, it's the best stuff. They have the highest quality standard. It's not in dispute in my mind. Callaway has gotten increasingly better. Still saw some cuckoo balls in the test, but increasingly better with the stuff made in Chicopee, Massachusetts.
Correct.
The stuff that they outsource to Launch Technologies, ERC Soft, Supersoft, I don't have the same degree of confidence in that stuff, and I don't have the same degree of confidence in anything that comes out of that factory.
Right.
It's not just Callaway,
whether it's a Callaway ball or any other ball.
Factory level thing.
Right. It's a factory discussion, not a.
We've talked numerous times. Foremost in Taiwan, Maxfly, Encore, Vice, Wilson, all of that stuff not only passes the sniff test with the robots, but when we've tested in Ball Lab in the past, it's all been, for the most part, really good. Now, the knock on Foremost, and I've said this before, is from time to time you do measure a dozen, and you're like, what the fuck happened here?
There's one, talk about cuckoo
I mean, we've
balls,
seen
right?
absolute kind of, we'll pull a box. We found one. This was 2 generations, maybe, at least 2 generations of MaxFly Tour X ago. We had a 30-point compression range in a single box.
Yes, it was like somebody fell asleep in the Q8 apartment or something. Like there was something catastrophic that happened.
Right, and people are like, oh, what does 30 points mean? It's effectively the difference, at least in terms of compression, between a Pro V1X and a Callaway Super Soft.
Like ends of the spectrum. Like we're basically talking. That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty.
But by today's measurement, like maybe it's not quite that much. That's closer to 40 points, but still, it's a lot. Certainly Super Soft to Pro V1 is in that window. So point being, it's a big range. You should never find it in one box. Like for me, if I find, when we measure, like 5 points in a box would be good. 10 would be, 10 for me is just outside the window of what's acceptable. I'm good 7 or 8. That's fine. 5 typical. Occasionally we get something as low as 3. 30 plus is absurd.
Yeah, like I said, somebody fell asleep.
And so the other thing, we've talked about the sniff test, right? We have seen Titleist balls that we think, hey, that ball was not perfect. That one wandered a little bit, right? Wandered. We've used that word a lot.
Yeah.
But what we've never seen from Titleist is a complete and total cuckoo ball.
Never seen one. No.
I don't want to say it doesn't happen. I'm saying I haven't seen it.
Yeah, could happen.
And we've tested.
And we
see very few cuckoo balls again. See very few with foremost. And then as you move on, Callaway, certainly far fewer cuckoo balls than we've seen in the past. Still see them. Bridgestone, we see cuckoo balls. Srixon, we see cuckoo balls. When you get into stuff coming out of Launch Tech, for example, cuckoo balls. So that's, it's the difference between what is easily observable and what is easily quantifiable, and continue to kick those tires.
Yeah. Let's finish up with this, because it's Ryder Cup time. We got a couple, 3 weeks or so till the Ryder Cup. By the time this airs, we'll probably know what these picks are, so we can kind of see how we did on each respective team. Again, 6 picks, 6 automatic qualifiers. If we start on the U.S. side, right, your 6 automatic qualifiers: Scheffler, Spahn, Schauffele, all the S's, Russell Henley, Harris English, and Big Bryson DeChambeau.
That blows my mind with the live fracture that he is still able to rack up and maintain enough points.
Play well in majors.
Good.
Play well in the biggest tournaments that matter. Good job. You did it. You earned it. Rock and roll. The next 6, give me your first pick of your next 6, and I'll tell you whether I agree or not.
Yeah, just looking at going right down the rankings, I think you take Justin Thomas. I've been a little uneasy about it given the past couple years, let's say. But where he is right now, I think you take Justin Thomas.
Yep, I think he gets a pick. Done. How about Morikawa?
Seems like it's been a quieter year for him, but he's right there. I'm still going by the numbers. I still take Colin.
You still take Colin. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to take him as well, but I have some reservations about his play. But he's again, for each one they say, okay, if you don't take him, who do you take in his place? And part of this is the Keegan effect, which we'll get to here in a second. Hearing some rumors, hopefully they're just rumors, that Ben Griffin on Monday, Keegan said something to the effect, right, of like, hey, there's some guys who think they're going to be on this team that are not going to be on this team. Well, I'm sure a lot of golfers think they're going to be on the team, but
I don't think I'm going to be on the team. I would be very surprised.
But when he said that, when Keegan said that, I'm like, okay, which player that's not already picked really thinks they're going to be on the team? I don't know that Wyndham Clark thinks he's going to be on the team. I don't think he is. I don't know.
I bet Patrick Cantlay thinks he's going to be on the team.
I hope he's not. I'm not taking him. But Ben Griffin, are you taking him as one of your next 6 or no?
I am, but I think he's played well enough to earn it. He has a couple wins this year, right? And I just love the idea of a MaxFly Tour X in the Ryder Cup. I'm sorry.
My only struggle with Ben Griffin, one, he deserves it. He's earned it. His recent form hasn't been as good as his exceptional form that landed him on here. But, and I'm not saying it's a bad idea to have a recency bias. I mean, guys that are playing the best at that time, again, we still have a couple weeks. I love that as opposed to somebody, oh, they've been here, they've been, like, we got to try something different. Like, I'm okay with some new ideas and new blood and new things. So that's why I like having Ben on there. I think one, he deserves it. Two, I think when he's in his best form, really good form, he is absolutely one of the 12 best. I'm going to skip over Maverick for a second because does Keegan pick himself? Because that dictates everything else.
He should, and I think, maybe Keegan thinks he's going to pick himself, but he isn't going to pick himself, and so he's the guy.
He's the guy that...
I was going to pick myself.
He's the guy.
Yeah, no, I think he should.
Yeah.
I actually think he should, and I think if looking at this roster, where we are top to bottom, right? Like, this is not the all personality team. I'm not saying any of these guys are bad people or anything like that, but like this is pretty low key.
There's not other than Bryson in the top 6, like,
right, and Bryson's going to be the outlier anyway. He could be the compelling guy that nobody really wants to have on the team, but I wouldn't argue him against him in any world. But yeah, other than that, right, like this is
Harrison English, chill. Russell Henley, Schauffele.
I don't know what the comparison is, but there's no like excitement here. Like there's no Patrick Reed like character in this initial group where you're like, even if I hate the guy, it's undeniably that he's going to bring a little energy to this thing. And you
don't think Keegan's going to bring? I mean, he absolutely should pick himself, and not just because it's a historic thing to do. Obviously, the last time it happened, Arnold Palmer, 62, whatever years ago. It's not to do that to make history. I think it's to do it because it's the best opportunity for the U.S. team to win. I think it's a better team with Keegan Bradley on it than with Keegan on. So just strictly from that perspective of, hey, the top 12, great. And I know that there are a lot of roles and responsibilities for the captain, but don't we also have like 38 assistant captains? Like,
yeah, like I said, I've always felt like that element of it has been overblown, or at least
you have to make decisions, but you make decisions as a committee too, and you have these things, and so he's on there. All right, so that leaves us 2 spots because we got JT, Morikawa, Griffin, and Keegan. There's 4 of your 6. Who are your next 2? How are you going to round out this team? Oh,
I'm taking Brian Harman. Seems like he's just a consistent year, like not the greatest year in the history.
But go ahead.
But consistent, and then I'm going.
So I agree with you on Cam Young, and the reason why is it's Bethpage. This is a big hitter's ballpark. He's a New York guy. There's a lot of the subjective elements that fit, but the objective elements of his game. And my Lord, has he been putting better this year than before? And you think putting doesn't matter? I mean, putting matters so incredibly much in golf in general. But man, it's Ryder Cup. So yes. To me, Cam Young gets one of those last 2. I'm not taking McNeely. And I'm not taking Harmon. I'm going to take Novak.
I thought you were going to go.
That was my next pick because I'm not taking Cantlay. I'm not taking Wyndham Clark. For me, it came down to Sam Burns and Novak. And I would argue Sam Burns is a better putter. But Novak's had the stronger year. And again, as you start to think about who you might pair some of these guys up with, particularly if you think Novak.
So that's where I go where the overthinking begins. Like, you're never going to convince me that is. Just go out and play your ball, man.
But most of the time.
Still got to hit the fucking
All right, ball. So that's my 6. We got your 6. We'll see how it goes. Quickly on the Euro side, obviously Rory, McIntyre, Fleetwood, Rose, Rasmus Højgaard.
It's like Justin
Dude's
Rose
awesome.
Still.
I know. He is ageless.
Absolutely
and Tyrrell
ageless.
Hatton.
Like
There's your top 6. The next 6, just in some world on points, etc. Lowry, Sepp Straka, Ludwig Oberg. Hovland. I'm going to take those 4. Then I'm going to also take 1 John Rahm because he is absolutely one of the 12 best players eligible to play on the Euro side. And that leaves me 1 spot. And the people I'm considering there, Fitzpatrick's up there. He's had a really uneven year. I think if you want to talk about recent form, you either go with Harry Hall, which I know might surprise some people. I love Harry Hall in that spot. Phenomenal putter, again. Or if he plays really well, potentially, do you let Rasmus's brother, the Nikolai Højgaard, and now you got the brothers? Does that get you something? So, not for me. I'm going to go with Harry Hall instead of maybe Fitzpatrick in that spot. So, Fitzpatrick, nope. Harry Hall, yes. Hovland, Oberg, Straka, Rahm, and Lowry. Those are my other 6. Love it, hate it, agree, disagree?
I would take Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
I would take Fitzpatrick in that spot. There is another world where you scrap it and you build your Ryder Cup team like a lot of people. I live in Saratoga, New York. We have a very famous horse race track here. Just had our big race, the Travers. We also had the Belmont the last 2 years. But I am going to suggest that maybe you pick this
based
team.
On
the European team, like a lot of people pick racehorse winners, or at least bet on horses, and you go strictly by the names.
Yeah, you got a
So
Rasmus.
I already got a Højgaard up here, right? So give me his brother, Nikolai Højgaard. And then we'll go with, take Nicholas Norgard. And then we'll go Rasmus Nergaard Peterson. And then, even though it doesn't make any sense in pure golf logic, but trust me, to strengthen my midfield, I'm going to Arsenal and I'm getting Martin Odegaard.
I love it.
And that's it. I'm taking.
You got all the guards.
Taking all the guards.
I can't disagree with a single one of those. I think that's. A
solid attacking midfield option to complement my team of golf. Yeah,
for everybody that overanalyzes these picks and all this stuff, then there's always the spouse or significant other, right, that does the pick based on the color of the team or the logo or the mascot, and they end up winning the March Madness pool, right? Like,
I'm telling you, every day at Saratoga, there's somebody who wins $50,000 plus, pulling
the trifecta
together.
Of Højgaard, and Højgaard.
You're just stacking them, man. You're just parlaying that stuff, and before you know it, you hit a $50,000 superfecta or some nonsense. Happens every day.
This might be your year.
I'm telling you, let's just
all right.
guard this thing out.
Well, please. Find us, follow us on the interwebs, the social things. We have other items that are out there.
Martin Odegaard, sleeper pick for the Ryder Cup.
Yes. We'll post that content on there. As always, questions, comments, hopes, dreams, let us know. Until next time, we out.